Okay. Can you all see the My Job Search checklist? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, one fun aspect of remote work is being able to balance and handle technical difficulties. So, thank you all for your patience with today's technical difficulties. And I appreciate your willingness to be patient with me as I go back to all of this stuff for you. So, if you're going to be a remote worker, be prepared for something like this potentially happening to you in the future and having to adapt and think quick on your feet to fix it. Okay, so just to make sure that, oh, it's in presenter mode. Okay, thank you. Okay, how's that? Perfect. You can see it not in presenter mode. Awesome. Okay. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. And due to the technical difficulties, I will definitely spend a little time, going over. So if you're willing to bear with me and spend a little bit of extra time on this webinar, I am happy to go a little bit over to make sure that everyone's getting the full information they needed and we're looking for. Okay. So my job search checklist. This is what I was talking about just a little bit ago. That is on your FlexJobs dashboard. So under my job search activity, you will see my job search checklist. This is the interactive way that you can stay organized. If you're a FlexJobs member, you have access to this on your account, and it goes through how to use FlexJobs, how to make the most of FlexJobs, resumes, cover letters, job applications, interviews, etc. And what it does is it links to any relevant articles or resources that we have on our website related to that topic. So it's a really great way for you to quickly get the information you're looking for, and then you can check the box once you've completed it, see how much time is left on it, and just keep organized that way. So if you're someone who wants to use FlexJobs as your primary way of staying organized, this is a really great feature for you all to use. I personally love being able to check and click that I've accomplished something and see how much I have left. So I really like this feature a lot. Now, the resume checklist, this was the one I was talking a little bit about earlier, that this is a snippet from an actual article we have on our website. So this is not the full article. This is just a little bit about it, but it just gives you an idea of, what to do and what to think about for your resume specifically. You can print this out if you want to physically, cross it off or whatever it might be. But this is what the resume checklist looks like. And then the work-life balance checklist. Again, this is a snippet just from an article on our website. So we will be sending this out as well so you can get the full article and what that looks like. But just a few questions to think about when it comes to work-life balance. And then again, you can print it out, check it off, whatever it might be, if that is helpful for you. Okay, and then this is where I was just talking about developing a tracking system that works best for you. Again, if you want to use a digital system, a pen and paper system, you're already using an app like Trello or Excel or whatever it might be, this is where I was just referencing that. And then I think right where I realized we were having technical difficulties was on this slide. So this is a example of the job search tracker spreadsheet that we've created on Excel that I will make sure gets sent out to everyone. And this is an example of what to do once you started applying to jobs, listing out the company name, any research you've done, the job title, the job posting link. A good recommendation here is sometimes expire. So if you're able to download a copy of the job description and save it as a file on your computer and use the link that way, just in case it does expire, and then you're able to use it or find it later if the link has expired. What date you found the job, when it's due. It's really easy once you start applying to get all the jobs confused and mingled with each other. So keeping everything organized in one spreadsheet will make sure that you're not getting confused of this job interview versus this one. And it's just a really easy way for you to stay organized. So this is one example of how you can do this. Again, if you have a different way or better way, definitely go for that. But this is a spreadsheet that we've created, and it's not a Google Doc, it's just a spreadsheet, but we will be emailing this out to you. You could definitely make it a Google Doc if that was something that you prefer. Okay, was that everything that you all missed that you still wanted to see? Let me know in the chat if there's something you want me to go back to that you still didn't get to see from the beginning, and I'll give you a minute. Good, good. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you. So I will then move on, and now we're picking right back up where we were going next. So now that you've kind of figured out some ways to stay organized, what is your intentions in your job search? Now you want to figure out how to best, for your remote specific job search, how are you going to approach that? So when I talk about targeting your search, what level of remote work do you want? So this can mean many different things. Are you wanting a 100% remote job where you never have to go into the office? Are you wanting a partial remote job where maybe you go in once a week, or maybe you travel every quarter for a meeting if you have to? Figuring out what type of flexibility in your schedule you want. Are you okay if you're still working a traditional 9 to 5? Or are you wanting some flexibility where you can work your 40 hours in the week and then, you can do your schedule however you want? Targeting the specific type of flexibility you're looking for and remote work level that you're looking for will really help narrow down so that you're not overwhelmed by so many options. So figuring that out first will help give you a place to start. Then tailoring your resume and cover letter specifically for remote work. Maybe you're new to remote work, maybe you've done this before. Either way, you want to highlight any relevant technology skills right on your resume and in your cover letter. So we recommend adding a technology skills section somewhere on your resume. That's where you can list experience that you have with Zoom, with Google Drive, with any Slack, any sort of platform that can show that you're already equipped to be an effective remote worker and that you already have the technology skills necessary to be an effective remote worker. A great way to figure out what skills that companies are looking for. One, we have some articles on our website about this, but then two, simply reading the job description. Usually at the bottom, it will say, we prefer someone who knows how to use Zoom or knows how to use Microsoft Word or Excel. If you're seeing that repeatedly in the job description, that typically means that's something they're looking for. So adding technology skills section on your resume will highlight right away that you have the skills that they want and that can show that you can be a remote worker. Same thing with remote work experience. So maybe you've worked a remote job already. If so, right next to the job title, you can put remote or partial remote. And if you haven't worked remote before, officially, maybe that wasn't your official job capacity or title, thinking about any time that you may have had to work from home even 1 day a week or collaborate with people in different offices, that counts as remote work. Even if it wasn't your full-time experience, if you did it 25% of the time or 10% of the time, that's where you can resume and show that you've had that remote work experience already. And then lastly is going to be networking. So LinkedIn is an essential component to your search, especially for a remote job. If you are not already on LinkedIn, you need to get on there. Any relevant job articles that are listed today that are talking about new job trends are talking about the importance of networking on LinkedIn, utilizing LinkedIn to, just interact with people, learn more about companies, and find out people that, are at the company that you're interested in and getting your name out there. My colleague Rachel and I did a webinar recently about LinkedIn that I will also add in our recap that will come next week that talks a little bit more about that. But that's going to be an essential component to any job search, but especially a remote job search. Okay, and then last but not least is evaluating your progress. So we recommend testing things out for at least 30 days minimum. You're not going to see progress, within 1 week or 2 weeks. Job searches take time, and typically most job postings are open for at least 2 weeks, but most are open for 30 days. So taking the time to spend a solid 30 days working on your action plan, maybe getting your materials together, submitting an application, and then seeing what's working and what's not working. What do you need to dedicate more time to? Are you submitting applications and not getting interviews? Okay, let's evaluate that. Are you getting interviews, but not a second round or not a final round? Maybe you're not getting an offer. Are you not hearing back from anybody? Why? Taking the time to really evaluate what your tactics are that are working and what's not working. I have some articles and resources about this, but that will just make sure that you are really spending that intentional time on your search and not just continuing to do the same thing over and over that's clearly not working. So taking the time to test, evaluate, and reevaluate. Then spend another 30 days. Once you've made those changes, okay, another 30 days. Is this working? Is this not working? Now, to sum it all up, your final action steps: review the checklists that I showed you earlier and that I'll be sending out within about a week, and establish a plan that works for you. Your job search action plan might not be the same as the next person or as your friend. Figure out what works for you and what makes sense for you. And same thing with developing a tracking system that you'll actually use. Do you like your phone or do you like pen and paper better? Do you look at your calendar every day? Great, that's what you want to use. Figure that out and what makes sense for you. Test, evaluate, and reevaluate what's working and what's not working. And then last but not least, if you need more support, work with a career coach like myself. I swear I don't normally have all these technical difficulties. This is just a weird day. But our career coach team is really great about, being that outside perspective and opinion on, your cover letter, your resume, your LinkedIn, to maybe give you some insight or perspective that you hadn't considered before or that you hadn't thought about before. And if you're not ready to work with a career coach, maybe just ask a friend or a family member, hey, can you listen to my interview answer or read my resume or my cover letter and give me some feedback on it. Sometimes we get so focused on, what we've done, what we think is right, that we need just that outside opinion and perspective to give us some additional insight. And with that, like I mentioned at the very beginning and a few different times, within 1 week, we will be sending a recording of this, as well as any links or resources that I mentioned or talked about throughout this, with all the checklists, the spreadsheets, all of that stuff. And now I'm really ready to dive into your questions. So I see a ton of questions in here already. But if there are more questions that you haven't gotten to yet or that you think of, go ahead and pop those in the Q&A and I will get started answering some questions. Okay, let's see. Okay, a few of these are about my technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Let's see here. And yes, if you like a question, go ahead and give that a thumbs up. Okay, let's see. I have a specific question. Oops, a few of them are moving. I have more than one industry of interest. Would it be okay to create and comment on different industry subjects in my LinkedIn activity section, as well as connect with such people in these different areas? Yes, great question. So your LinkedIn is really a living, breathing version of yourself that expands beyond your resume. So your resume is a static document. I read it and that's all I get about you. Your LinkedIn, the activity section, is definitely a place where you want to be increasing your involvement and engagement if you're not already. What recruiters want to see is that you are being active, that you're sharing relevant news articles, that you're liking and commenting on their company pages, that you're staying up to date with the latest trends. So yes, definitely. My suggestion is if you are interested in certain companies, following those companies, and then their posts will automatically show in your feed. They will, anytime that they post anything relevant, you'll be able to see that right away. So you can like it, comment it, share it. If there's a specific person doing the type of job that you're interested in, or that is a thought leader in that industry, following them, you don't have to connect with them. You're able to just follow a person, and then that way you can see their posts, but you're not actively with them if you feel comfortable. And by doing that, you're getting your name out there and noticed by these people in these different industries, and you're just showing that you're taking the time to be active and engaged. I recommend spending time on LinkedIn, even if it's 5 minutes a day, just catching up on your feed, seeing what's there, and staying up to date with the latest industry trends and what is the latest conversation there. One way that recruiters can actually search for people on LinkedIn is a filter called something along the lines of people who've engaged with my brand. So that means if you have liked their page, commented, or shared any articles from their page, that is a specific way that recruiters can actually search for you. So definitely want to up that activity. You don't have to change your profile information necessarily, your headline or your summary, but you can definitely creativity and then engage, and it shows that you have a diverse range of interests as well. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Next question. I'm uncomfortable reaching out cold on LinkedIn. Any tips, tricks, or ideas around doing that? Pros and cons. Thank you. Yes, this is super daunting. And we actually have some samples that I will make sure get sent in that recap. And the samples are different languages that you can send as you're connecting with different people. The easiest way to do this is find someone who is working at the company that you're interested in. And first, see if you have any mutual connections or mutual friends that can make a connection. You might be surprised that, a friend from your neighborhood or from a previous job or from school has a connection with this person, and then they can connect you too so that you can then talk. That's going to be the easiest way to reach out to people cold, is finding a mutual connection. If you don't have a mutual connection, the next best thing is reaching out to them, maybe seeing on their activity section anything that they've shared or posted or commented recently. And then when you reach out to them, you can say something along the lines of, "Hi, so and so, I really loved what you had to say about this topic. I loved this article you shared. I, would love to talk to you more about your industry or your job." That's a really easy way. You're bringing up something that they already care about because it's something they posted or shared. And then you already have a mutual conversation topic. And then if the conversation goes well, it can segue, further into potential job prospects or things like that. You can also just ask someone about what they do. Maybe you're a career changer and you are trying to get into a new industry of a job you haven't done before. So finding someone who does that job, reaching out to them and saying, "Hey, I saw that you do this job. I'm interested in, changing careers towards this job. Do you have a few minutes just to tell me more about what it is that you do and how you got there?" People love to talk about themselves. So you're not asking them for anything other than to talk about themselves. They can give you some insight into what that role entails or what that role at that company entails. And then again, if the conversation goes well, it could lead further into, "Hey, I might have a job opportunity for you," or "I'd be happy to review a resume for you," or something like that. So I will make sure to send some sample examples of the ones I just mentioned. But it's not as scary as you think. I have gotten LinkedIn connections from people I don't know before. And the ones that always excite me, or the ones I want to respond to, are the people who send those personalized messages about why specifically they want to connect with me and how maybe I can help them or how we can help each other. Okay, let me go ahead and close that one out. Next question here. I wonder what a good work search work balance is efficient. Work life balance is efficient. I've heard someone once say to treat your job search like a part time job. So, setting a specific schedule for the week and sticking to it. Any ideas or tips on how to balance this and how to allow yourself some time off while working and looking for a new job or changing careers? Yes. So this goes back to what I was talking about earlier in regards to creating that schedule and breaking down your job search into manageable tasks. So I agree, it's a lot of work and it is almost like a part time job. You do have to spend a lot of time on it, but it's unrealistic that every single day of the week you're going to be able to focus time on your job search. And maybe you only have 10 or 15 minutes. So that's where breaking down and identifying those key tasks for you is going to help a lot. So maybe time spent researching companies is something that you need to do. So set a schedule or set a timer on your phone for, Tuesday for 15 minutes. I'm just going to spend time researching companies. It doesn't have to be, an hour or 2 hours that you're spending on tasks. It can be a smaller amount of time and you're doing a very specific thing. You're not saying, "Oh, today for 2 hours, I need to work on my job search," because that's daunting and that's not going to help you, have less anxiety. So targeting each week, what are your job search activities for that week? This week, I'm going to reach out to 2 people on LinkedIn. And then just whenever you have time that week, that's when you can get it done. Maybe if it's a bigger task, like working on your resume or something like that, you set a specific day and time and put that on your calendar and treat it just like a work appointment that you would, or a meeting for anything else. So identifying those tasks and figuring out, what can be done in a quick amount of time when you have a 5-minute break, and then what needs to actually be set on your calendar and, scheduled time. Okay, let's see, next question. Getting through a few of the comments about the technical difficulties. Okay, good question here. Any strong alternatives to LinkedIn? I have honestly not seen any, and the current job trends that we're seeing is LinkedIn being referenced as the third biggest component of your job search, in addition to your resume and your cover letter. If there is another one out there, I have not seen it or have not heard of it. Primarily, people are using LinkedIn when it comes to that networking piece, figuring out if a candidate, is a current relevant candidate. I'm going to get your resume, and then I want to see your LinkedIn profile to match that. A lot of recruiters who are using applicant tracking systems to look for candidates, there's a integration that a lot of them are using to actually pull in your LinkedIn information as well. So LinkedIn is really coming, hand in hand with the job search when it comes to finding candidates, finding information about candidates, and doing that online and virtual networking. If it's for the networking component, sure, there are other ways. There's meetups or other virtual ways that you can do some of that networking, but primarily LinkedIn is going to be kind of the key place that you need to have your living, breathing online professional profile. But great question. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, Sherry asks, I can't update my LinkedIn profile because it will be a red flag to my board of directors. It's current through my most relevant jobs. So there are a couple of ways that you can update your LinkedIn profile and not alert your company that you might be job searching. So one of these, if you are looking for a new job, is you can put on an open to work filter in your settings, and then you can make sure that it says only to recruiters. So that way your network, your company is not being alerted. It's just recruiters. Now, your company, if your company has recruiters on there that are using that tool, that's something that you might need to be conscious of. But if they're not, that's a great way to alert recruiters that you are open to work without alerting the rest of your company or organization. And then the second way is making small tweaks to your LinkedIn that aren't really highlighting that you're looking for a job. So, for example, if you're updating your summary or updating your headline, using soft skill keywords to make those updates. So instead of saying something like, financial analyst looking to change careers to teaching and education, maybe you're thinking about what are the same skills in both of those jobs, and that's what you put in your headline. So maybe it's, solution focused, people person, educator, passionate about providing, resources and information to diverse groups of people. That was just a quick example made up off the top of my head. I'm sure I could come up with something better, but you can use those soft skills to create your headline and create your summary that's not targeting you into a specific industry or into a specific job. So for example, one of the ones I have on my LinkedIn profile is passionate optimist. That's just a way that I identify myself, and I could identify myself as that in any career field or any job. I personally am updating my LinkedIn profile almost every week, and I'm happily employed in my job. I'm not doing it to show that I'm job searching or looking for a job. I do it so that I'm making sure it's accurately showing the most updated and relevant information about myself and who I am. So as I think of new descriptive words or new skills that I've gained, that's when I'm updating my summary and my skills. If I have new work examples like webinars or articles that I've worked on, that's when I go ahead and put that in my pinned and featured work section. So updating your LinkedIn constantly doesn't have to necessarily be a thing that's all about showing I'm looking for a job. It's also just about showing who I am today, what's most recent and relevant about myself. Hopefully that helps. Okay, let's see. What other questions here? Is it, when listing remote experience in a resume, is it good to list remote schooling if you have a degree online? Yes. If you maybe have not worked remotely, but you've done remote education, that is something that you want to show and highlight right away on your resume. You can say remote instruction or virtual instruction or virtual schooling, remote schooling. That is going to, again, get you through those applicant tracking systems by using those keywords and show that you already have the skill set and the experience of working on something in a remote or virtual environment. So yes, great question. Definitely want to add that. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Paige asked, I see that FlexJobs has a resume career coaching service. Two questions. Does that include, oops, it just went away. Does that include a LinkedIn profile review? Okay, yes. So we do have resume career coaching service. Right now, we don't have an official service for a LinkedIn profile review, but if that is something that you're interested in, you definitely can include that in your intake form for your coaching service, and your coach would happily take a look at your LinkedIn profile and maybe offer any recommendations or things that you could improve or what could be enhanced there. So while it's not an official service currently, it is something that we're able to look at with you. And we do ask for your LinkedIn profile link in all of your intake forms when we're working on your resume and your career coaching, so that we do get that profile and we're able to see that about you. One thing I did mention a little bit earlier is that my colleague Rachel and I recently did a webinar on LinkedIn, and I will make sure that is one of the resources sent out to you that covers a lot of this information on how to best utilize LinkedIn, update your profile, etc. Great question. Okay. Okay, Adam asks, you've mentioned cover letters a few times. With so many larger companies using systems searching to filter applicants, it seems forever since I've seen a request for cover letters. Are they still a thing? Yes. So while they might not be required, we definitely recommend still using and doing cover letters. It's something about 60 to 70% of hiring managers and recruiters do want to read them and do want to see them. And you'd rather be safe than sorry and go ahead and do one just in case rather than not do one. It can't hurt you, it can only help you in the process. Since most people aren't doing cover letters today, it's one of the things that will actually be able to help you stand out a little bit more and potentially get that interview. Nobody likes them. They're not fun to do. They're not fun to write, but they are going to be helpful in your job search. So we do recommend doing them unless it explicitly says not to. Obviously, if it says we don't want them, then don't do it. But if it just says optional, or it has a place where you can upload it and it doesn't say anything about it, we do recommend going ahead and doing that still. We do have some template examples on how to set up your cover letter, and I will make sure those get sent out in the recap as well. But we do recommend going ahead and still doing them, especially if you're someone who's a career changer or has a unique experience, or has been in a senior level position and you're looking for an entry level position. Your cover letter is really that place for you to further and explain any questions that a recruiter might have just by looking at your resume. You're able to elaborate and go a little bit deeper there in that cover letter. The other thing is, companies are getting hundreds of thousands of applications today. And one, they can tell when people are mass applying. And two, by someone taking the time to do that cover letter and really showcase that they've researched the role, researched the company, and are excited about this specific job, that's going to stand out with the recruiter of, oh, this person actually wants this job specifically, and they're not just mass applying. So we do recommend doing them. If they're not required or if they're optional, still going ahead and submitting one, and it can only help you, it can't hurt you. If you only have a place to upload your resume, what's the best way to include a cover letter so they see it? Yes, great question. So if there's only one place to upload it, we recommend actually combining your resume and cover letter into one PDF document and making the cover letter that last page. So your resume would be first and then the cover letter, and uploading it that way. So yes, great question. If there's only one place to upload, that's what we recommend. If you, for some reason, are applying via email and not through an online system, then we recommend actually making your cover letter the body of the email. So writing it directly in the email instead of as an attachment. Great question. Okay, so I'll answer a couple more questions here. Like I said, I know we're going a little over time, but due to our technical difficulties, I'm happy to. So thanks to everyone who is still sticking around. Let's see here. Okay, do I have to create a resume with a great design? If applying for different jobs, tailoring the resumes, but how would you go about it, and what types of resumes do employers prefer? Yes, great question. So we actually do not suggest using design-based resumes, primarily because of the applicant tracking systems. When you are submitting your applicant tracking, or not submitting your applicant tracking systems, submitting your resume through the applicant tracking systems, typically these will not be able to read design resumes and the formatting will get messed up and just a little wonky. So our recommendation is keep it simple. Don't add design, don't add your photos, don't add text boxes or anything like that. But if you do want to stand out a little bit, add a little bit of color. Maybe you have, a couple of lines to separate your sections and it's in blue or in green. Maybe your name is in a different color. That's going to be our best recommendation for you to still add a little bit of personality there, but not messing with the applicant tracking system formatting, because it will just get jumbled and the information will be a little bit confusing. Now, that's not to say you're in a creative field. Maybe you are going for a graphic design position or something like that, where they want to see that type of resume. You're going to still want to do that, for your specific field. But most of the time, a design resume will only cause issues for the applicant tracking system piece. Our recommendation is, if you do feel like you need a design-based resume, you can always have another copy. You have your regular version that you upload, and then your design or fancy one can maybe be brought with you to an interview or emailed later if someone wants to see that. But more often than not, keep it simple. And I'll make sure to send some sample resume examples as well. Okay, great question. Someone asked, what is the tracking system called? So I've talked about this a little bit, and applicant tracking systems are what most companies are using now to screen resumes from candidates. So not every company uses them, but most do. So when you may have seen companies called Greenhouse or Workday or Taleo or Lever. Those are just a few examples of applicant tracking systems. And what they are is companies are uploading the job description and they are saying, this is what's most important in this job description for what we're looking for. So then the computer system, once they get all the resumes, screens your resume and is looking primarily for whatever it is that the hiring manager said was most important. So it could be keywords. Maybe they're really looking for a problem solver, the technical skills, has experience with Zoom. So the computer system would be looking for those things. Maybe it's education level and software experience. So maybe we're looking for someone with a bachelor's degree who also knows Adobe Creative Suite. So the applicant tracking system would be looking for those keywords in your resume, and then they rank the resumes based on how well they match the job description. So if your resume is really tailored to that job description and you're inputting the keywords from the job description, your resume is going to get ranked a lot higher and make it through to the recruiter. If you're not tailoring your resume for every position that you're applying to, then you're less likely to get to a human recruiter, because the computer system will be screening your resume and ranking it a little bit lower just since you didn't have those keywords. So it's really important to tailor your resume to every position that you're applying to and incorporate those keywords from the job description so that you're getting higher ranked and making it through the applicant tracking system. I hope that answers. And then I see here, Chris is asking, does anyone know if this webinar is the same or different content from the one in June? I cannot remember and must know. So it is a little bit different. Yes, it's the same headers and the same overall template, but I actually updated it for this webinar specifically today. So there is a little bit of different information in the one today than the one that was in June, but overall they're mostly similar. I hope that helps. All right, and with that, I think I'll answer one more question and then I will hop off because I know I've kept you all a little bit over time. So let me get to one last question here. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, okay, great one. What is an activity section in LinkedIn and where is it? Yes, so the activity section on your profile is going to be where anything shows if you have liked or commented, shared, or posted any information on LinkedIn. So if you're not someone who is being actively engaged on LinkedIn and you just have your profile and you haven't liked or commented or shared anything, then you're not going to see it show up on your profile because you don't have any activity. I think it might show the last 90 days. I'm not 1,000% sure, but that's why I recommend being active at least every week, if not every day. If you're someone who already gets on your phone and checks emails or checks social media, LinkedIn has a great app, and it's just another great easy way that you can add up to your schedule of things to check when you're on your phone, and then easily like, comment, share something. I personally like to share articles, so I look at different articles and I'll find, a paragraph or two that I really like in that article, and I'll quote it, and then I'll share it with the link to the article on my page. That's a really easy, simple way to increase your activity without having to put too much work into it, or create your own original content. And on other people's profiles, you can see their activity section. This is really great for recruiters, because usually recruiters will write if they're hiring for positions, or if another recruiter is hiring for something, they might like it or comment. So definitely looking at other people's activity sections, for companies that you want to work at, or for people you want to be connected with, that's that place you're going to go to get those conversations started, or get information that might help you in your job search. So definitely be utilizing the activity section for yourself, and then looking at other people's as well. But great questions. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your patience with the technical difficulties and bearing through that with me. I apologize for that. And we will be sending everything out within 1 week, like I mentioned. So anything that we talked about today that you're still looking for, want more information on, will be sent out to you. And with that, I hope you all learned something new today, and enjoy the rest of your weeks, and have a great new year. Thank you all for attending.